Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
A bit of a stress test, you say.
God dang it. I forgot.
Nash set it up so the rockets last night shot 50 missiles per salvo. You wear two of them, that's 100 missiles. We had 4 people, at least, if not 5, launching all simultaneously, and it did not crash cassette. So, fuck yeah, Nash did an amazing job.
Nice.
Those things are moving way too fast. I can't keep track of them.
Nash said the proof will be a real event, but it does look like removing the vehicle system was the way to go.
So, can I get the weapon system?
Yes. Now that you're back in, Nash can hand it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Shiva said the Fox can't compete with the others.
The Fox is a light and the Magneil is a medium.
You need to keep in mind there's gonna be tweaking the stats and all. Just here we are just testing how they function.
Can somebody explain?
Salvo almost take
Nash
800 hit
just
points.
for
So
testing purposes.
Can somebody explain to me the wording in the meter? What the different commands do? There is tracking. There is acquiring target, then tracking, then lock on enhance.
okay, so when you're tracking, you're trying to acquire the lock. When you have the lock, it'll tell you you have a lock confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah, but,
and then when you have enhanced locking, it's basically an increase. When you have enhanced locking, it's trying to you're holding.
There is something called enhanced tracking. Why are you starring Toxic?
This keeps telling me meter such and such error requires update.
Okay.
I go and look
you
at the update.
need to go. No. You haven't gotten the HVRs on your manganese. You need to go to the vendor, get a redelivery, and you'll be fine. You will have to swap out your components and do a shell swap. But actually, you won't even have to do a shell swap. Yes, you will, because it's labeled. You'll have to do a shell swap. But when you get them, if they have the manganese, that is why it's a forced update. Just get a fresh copy, and then you can do the script swap later.
this up, but it's all good. I'm gonna look weird looking like this, but I don't care.
Do you understand the explanation now, Shea? Micro, whatever?
I'm reading.
Oh, that tracking LSL state entry, get free memory. I wouldn't worry about that.
So
Reactor online. Center
the longer
online.
you try to lock
Weapons
onto a
online.
target, the
All
higher the
systems
tracking
nominal.
time of the
The
missile
duration.
in two steps. There's step 1, which is normal, and step 2,
Enhanced.
which is
Yes.
enhanced,
So
longer.
let's say it's 1 second for standard, 2 seconds for enhanced.
Okay. Interesting. It seems a bit more spammy in the chat. I think it would be nice if... maybe they could play a sound instead of a message.
We already have
Or like
audio and modified text plans. There's going to be an audio indicator to show you lock status and lock acquired. There'll also be a visual representation of a color change to show it as well. Right now, again, you are dealing with a alpha, a beta of the new missile system. So again, we welcome feedback, but don't get hung up on it because there's more presentation.
But you want feedback, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's why I just
saying
said we welcome it, but just don't let it get you stressed out.
There's also, if you try to log on a mech that is defeated, the chat is going to spam you significantly.
Yep. That is being modified as well with the tracking system. That goes back to the color indication. Gray, when you try to target lock a person,
I see.
will be for offline or destroyed mechs. A lock-on will be a different color. A acquiring will be a different color. And that will be filtered out. Right now, the focus is on the missiles and not the tracking system. We have to give you the tracking system in order for the missiles to do their job properly, but it's the missiles we want your focus on.
I actually think the missiles are super cool and work way more like LRMs should work. I think they're exceptionally well done.
This is the prime example of the reason why it didn't make sense when people were saying, well, we're trying to remove tracking missiles. We're not trying to remove them. We're trying to make versions that actually work properly. And Nash has been trying to drill that in. It's been very difficult. Nash mentioned we're about 25% complete on the tracking system, but it is enough to get them into combat. to try them out. You have the ability to dead fire, but the missiles do have gravity applied to them, so once they reach the end of their fuel and their distance, they will crash to the ground and they explode. Regardless of whether or not they hit a mech, they will always explode.
Yeah, just make sure you have some heat sinks on if you want to use them both. And then some. Because I overheated so bad that it passed the line of overheating.
Let me put it to you this way. Last night when we were launching 100 missiles per salvo each, we would be destroyed and our missile launchers were still launching missiles because the event was before your death.
Really hard to
make sure you play around with how they shoot because
is it correct that the missiles have sort of strange behavior when they fly near objects?
No. They will either collide with an object or they will not. The thing to keep in mind is depending on a few factors, their reactions will be different. If you release the missiles too early and you do not have a lock, they will shoot wildly and then just spray around you in all directions, depending on your camera movement.
Now, the weird behavior currently was that I was tracking, the missiles were tracking someone, and there was, like, they were hiding behind an object, and the missiles spasmed about and flew off into directions like a star.
They
I'm
lost
trying to replicate that.
There is a line of sight that they have to establish, but they shouldn't just
during the
scatter
flight?
in multiple. Yes, during actual flight. This isn't, again, this is a targeting system thing that we're not as much talking about. That is only 25% done. Right now, every missile works to keep a target lock because one of the things that we're going to be implementing is ways to affect missiles while they are being launched at you. And if they have no communication or no ability to interact, then kind of difficult to do that unless we just throw a prim in front of them. But when they target lock, they will go towards the target. What Nash said, they will attempt to guess where the target is going. And each one is going to get a different guess. That may be, I guess, what you're referring to. Again, the missiles do not target through walls.
Ooh, I really like that the dead zone of the missiles exists now. That's well done.
What do you mean the dead zone?
Yeah, well, the dead, they have limited maneuverability when close. In close range.
Yeah, you can't target lock a person in the same way.
Yeah, there is a dead zone. When somebody is too close to you, the missiles will attempt to follow the person, but likely collide with anything because of the arc.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty nice.
These are going to be, and I cannot stress this enough, these are going to be a different weapon than what MCM has used historically for the primary guided missiles. So just keep that in mind.
Well, I know I'm having visual.
It's what we want to make of them. You're breaking up, man. I'm sorry. What did you say?
I know that I am having visual tracking. Like I can't see them until they're right on my face.
Here, Lycra, eat your own medicine, you little punk.
These
all the time,
do not
all
shoot
the
in a
times you
straight
use those
line, which
was on me.
depending on your field of view, if you're looking closer towards the ground, they're going to come down kind of from above you.
No, I'm trying to watch them from the third point of view, and I cannot visually keep track of them.
Try. How did I do that?
I mean, I see the projectiles. It's just they're moving so fast that it's hard for me to keep track of where they're at or where they're coming from. I understand that people might be able to hit me from behind cover or out of visual sight, but I can't shoot them down because I can't.
So as of right now, the Mangonel are using the quicker of the style of missiles. The Fox uses a slightly slower version.
Yeah, I can see the Fox missiles just fine, but the Mangonels, they launch so fast that they're hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
Like, I can see the Fox missiles launch fine.
It is a lot easier for testing purposes if you're just wanting to see it, if you have a wide open space and you have a clear background. But when you don't have a clear background, not being able to see their contrails as they come towards you is difficult. If you have your particles turned off, that would make it even...
Nope, they're... From 100 meters from my position, the volley that just got fired were nothing more than just little black specks in the skyline.
Nash said the proportional navigation system will cause the missile to move almost straight down the LOS, which means the missile will be just a small dot to the target.
Yeah, these do not fly sideways like the old LRMs did. Nor tumble through the air.
I love the fact that you can actually shoot these off up front without
Nash
locking on too, and
it
hits.
Visible, but SL has only limited number of particles.
No, you don't. I'm not letting you use it. I guess
No,
you are going to hit me with that.
I can see the particles.
Here, have a rain of fire, buddy. Ah, shit!
How'd you know these things are dangerous against glowworms? Right, that's gonna float for a really long period of time.
These absolutely, if you're in the air, you are jacked.
Do they have a push mechanic?
We did a number of testing with jumping. D-warp, maybe actual warp has somewhat more of a counter to a salvo of these things with some finesse, but it's going to take some getting used to try to reduce the amount of damage.
Nash said a lot of tuning is going to be necessary so that these are not too dangerous.
They have.
I currently think. Yeah.
Do they have a physical impact? Because I just got pushed from midair.
I've seen it actually push and hop people on the ground when they rain down on them as well.
They are solid because they need to be solid if we want to shoot them down. So you're gonna be able to bounce off on them if that's your question.
Nash said missiles have always been physical so that they can be shot down.
A lot of the thing is the momentum isn't remotely transferred before because they were really kind of slow and wobbly.
Fuck you, scammer. Fuck off. Motherfucker.
I really like this iteration of missiles. Not only is there a dead zone, but with skilled shooting you can actually somewhat circumvent it. Like, it depends on the angle. So with more play and more usage of this, you can get significantly better, essentially. And they're not as much fire and forget. You actually have to think about which angle you're gonna pick with shooting and stuff. That's really
if you're
nice.
Trying to fire it without locking.
No, I mean with locking too. Like because with locking they will have an arc, even like sideways and stuff, and depending on the angle you pick, you can absolutely do some close range maneuvers. But first of all, that's rare, and second of all, you need to aim really well with that. Then that's kind of nice. Otherwise, a slight issue could maybe be that what Shade pointed out: when I shoot targets in the sky, the missiles push a lot and potentially keep the target high up there. Maybe with light mechs that can be really
it was
problematic.
knocking me more to the ground than it was actually pushing me around.
Considering the fact the reason why they're moving up there is they're being detonated, they're not safe. They're not feeling good. I don't think that's going to be a problem. The only reason that they're getting pushed is because they're taking damage, which means they'll be coming down quicker. So
no,
I would not be concerned about that.
That's top down. I mean bottom up.
Yes. You can push them up into the air with the collisions as the missiles come in one by one. Now, another thing that you can do is you can fan your missiles when you can fire.
Missiles isn't strictly required, but I think targets want some option to shoot them down.
So if you do a target lock on a person and then start releasing but move your camera so you're flailing up in the air, you can actually do a rainbow of missiles being launched, and each one will have their own independent arc. So is a skill thing. Instead of pushing someone by letting all the missiles go in directly or launching in the same position, you can actually nullify some of that movement on their part by the missiles being fanned and hitting them from opposite sides.
Yeah.
Nash said
it is a
completely impossible for them to escape, so we might want to change to non-physical missiles.
I mean, the escape thingy, that's the thing
Yeah, those things just
basically you can keep a target maybe in the air for long periods of time. But, well...
I think one person shooting at them, not so much. If you had, like, a lot of people doing nothing but shooting massive amounts...
It's the best sense than anything under 800 hit points in my experience so far.
Again, the actual damage on them is higher than they would be normally, because the original LRMs, again, we're using the same values in that regard. They were not consistent, so a lot of the damage adjustments to that were to make something that was imprecise to be worthwhile. And now that literally Nash and I were going back and testing salvos to see how many missiles hit.
The original LRMs, which have pretty poor probability to hit.
Yeah.
You work almost consistently on open terrain and absolutely in the sky, getting every single hit. So that will be changed with the balancing committee as it gets fine-tuned.
You like my tactic?
Put the pointy end in the missile and the other guy. Now, just for this thought in the moment, can we all agree?
There are also tuning elements related to the tracking and guidance systems, which can radically affect how they perform.
That Nash has done a fucking phenomenal job with what we have to work with. It is literally all up uphill
Indeed.
from here. Or not uphill, downhill, whatever. It's tuning, it's refining, but at the state they are now, they are freaking amazing.
I have mentioned it a few times already. I find these exceptional.
I am pointing this out simply because of the fact
Reactor
we
online.
were one
Vented
session
online.
away.
Online.
We were literally
Output
one
nominal.
development session away from her literally quitting after spending hundreds of hours working on these things. This was the Hail Mary. And she pulled it off just in the nick of time.
I do really hate this, the LRMs, but here the work is amazing. Like I have to admit, it's great work.
I love the fact that how you launch the missiles decide how they approach the target. If they have like low cover or mid cover, you shoot the missiles up higher, and there's more of a chance that they'll arc down and hit them behind the cover.
I actually think these missiles are significantly more dangerous.
Oh, they are! Believe me!
Yeah.
This thing has proved that.
This is
We also had another idea that she touched on, that
Nash
there
said
would be
originally,
surface state.
These used the tracking system from the old LRMs.
I
which
can
it
shoot 'em
turns
out, though.
has serious bugs.
You
So,
can shoot out the missiles as well, which is really
yes.
good.
They're not as easy though with the original LRMs. These are a bit more difficult because they each have their own tracking pattern a lot
I'm
better.
getting away from you. You too
So-
damn dangerous.
Nash touched on this, that we were talking about
Nash
potentially
said
having
they are
multiple
harder to
missile
see,
types.
and they are faster.
And one idea that we were discussing was having surface-to-surface missiles that primarily did not arc upwards. They would maybe have a minimal upward arc, but primarily they would be on the horizontal axis. They'd shift left and right. And then we'd have another set of missiles that would go directly to shoot someone in the air. But you could not use that type of arc on surface combat.
Nash said one launcher that fires two different missiles depending if the target is in the air.
So it would be differing performance, all automated.
I really love the gameplay of standing behind a building.
Nash said to give the kind of behavior we want for the different scenarios.
Cool.
You do have to be careful because of the fact they are going to gravitate towards your target. So if you're standing too close to the building, and your height is wrong, it'll slam into the building as it tries to go and arc over it.
Exactly, which is like a skill component. But otherwise.
Nash said a big part of the skill is figuring out how to fire them to bend around cover.
Yeah.
And these do not do 90-degree turns. So that alleviates a lot of people's concerns with the fact that they literally are just like, oh, the target's over there. Let me, break my neck and go hit him behind the building.
Nash said they can, but there is a minimum turn radius.
You're dead!
Just lead me.
Get him, Shiba!
It's a shame! Oh no! Let's talk about this!
Nash said
Let's talk
also,
about this!
These missiles vary their speed.
Let's talk about this! Yeah, oh no. Go away, 420, go away! Ow.
Nash said when they turn, they will decelerate, and when going straight, they will speed up. Sheba said I have my guns turned off.
I don't remember with the other LRM. But those seems to be able to like one launcher can have lock on and the other doesn't.
Yeah. That's the thing. But yeah.
If I recall, with the others, each launcher was trying to acquire a lock on, but if you get one, all of them were going to that.
So you're saying that one missile rack is getting a connection or a target lock, but the other one isn't?
Yeah.
Every now and then it does that. You
they separate.
Wait for both of them to lock on.
Is this at close range
correct.
or long range?
This will be addressed in the next phase
Both.
of the tracking system.
Okay.
Oh, it wasn't intended? Okay.
Another thing is, depending on the amount of missiles being fired, the missile has a certain amount of time that the tracking is good for. So, for example, with our testing with 50 missiles each, the target lock would lapse before all the missiles were launched. So the first section of them would get a target lock on a character, but the target lock would run out and the rest of the missiles would dead fire. But that's because the target lock was not based off of shooting 50 missiles per salvo. It was based off 5 or 10.
Nash
But it
said
was
right
interesting
now,
to watch.
each launcher is independently implementing the tracking system.
Ah, okay. That's why they can be separate. Okay.
I really like another fact. The missiles scatter a bit when they impact. They aren't.
Nash
Well, it's a
said
bit
the
more
goal is to
realistic,
move
they
that
aren't.
into the meter, so there is only a single tracking system, which will have a HUD interface.
Okay.
Yes, and again, as a reminder, the missiles slam into you. They detonate. There is no just impact. They explode. This means
Nash said
more
one
splash
of these,
damage.
They can block most of each other, so as they approach the target, they tend to hop around a bit.
Particularly when they're clustered in close proximity, yes.
Nash said this is a limitation of SL that it's not clear we can avoid.
We've also had
Nash
discussions.
Said, but if the target is trying to evade, having the missile become slightly erratic when very close makes them more effective on some level.
There's also been some discussions about further interactions with the missile and or tracking system.
No, you don't. Ah, fucking dark matter!
It's Lycra, what do you expect?
You
Suicide Squad.
He tried to kill himself with me.
Yeah.
Sheba said thus far,
there were some ideas.
all I see is just a learning curve on how to use the weapon.
there is talk about the concept of potentially coming up with something for a target painting. So, for example, you could fire potentially missiles, and mark the target so they have better accuracy. There is
Oh, like a utility slot? That
potentially
could be an option,
it has
yeah.
just been discussion at this point. There is no system implemented for this, but due to the extra information that we can put into a created object now and having more control of the system, it is something that we have been discussing the potential idea of.
Oh my god, I'm getting
Also,
sandwiched by 2 mechs.
we in MCM have, yeah, Nash said the new system we have updates the visibility of the target. So let's say you fire a missile and it loses a target and it's high up. If someone can mark it, potentially restore a connection if there's enough fuel.
Blow it up!
Another thing is the
God
idea
damn it.
of, as we touched on, active AMS, not ECM, which is pretty much what we have now, but an actual flak system to push away or destroy missiles. These tools become that much more useful when the weapon system performs as well as it is.
Cassette said waves.
We missed you at the event. It was a lot of fun.
I really like that you can influence the angle of the missiles. Nash, that is really well done.
The player hits a button to fire the AMS, and it will try to shoot down missiles. Cassette said allergies hit hard.
Oh, I feel you on that.
We could truly see how it affects the Minotaur now.
All missiles on the Minotaur. Go!
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Toxic, it tells me you have no active meter.
What?
What meter version are you using?
Fuck. Yeah. I forgot to put the test meter on.
Ah, cheater.
You know what?
Go away!
You know what?
Now he's up in the air. Everyone can just shoot missiles at him and he'll just die because he went up into the sky.
Oh my god, Toxic, that was a good shot. Nasty one.
Alright, I'm gonna go put that meter on now.
You did a freaking awesome job, Nash. I will not be able to say that enough.
Can't really see an issue with the missiles. The only one is maybe that they can clip through cover due to speed. There might be... Toxic, can you come for a moment and test that? Can you go behind cover?
My experience is they detonate when they hit cover.
Alright, be right back. I need a coffee.
Toxic, come. Go behind the wall somewhere.
Nash pointed out again, that's one of the reasons why we have the Fox with the slower version of the missiles and the Mega Neil with the quicker one.
Toxic!
We changed the way they handle, and we're wanting to see what people prefer. Personally, I like the faster missiles.
I agree with that. Even if there is a slight pass-through issue, it's not gonna be intentional.
It was a fun experience last night when Nash and myself and Draconis and Cosset and Florian were all just nuking each other with missiles, and Nash just unloaded.
Nash said,
She's
I'm standing
like,
behind a wall
"This
here.
is
If you want to
amazing."
try shooting me.
She's like, "It creates a cloud."
Nash said, as Ender said, they blot out the sun.
Considering how much grief we've gotten having to do with the LRMs historically, the fact that Nash was like, "Oh yeah, these aren't going anywhere. This is great. I am enjoying this so much." I was like, "Hell yeah!"
I'm gonna test it, Nash.
Nash said a key thing with these is that we have a lot more control over how they behave.
Are you taking at all any damage, Nash? And if so, is that just the splat going through the wall itself? He was literally standing.
Okay, there is no issue, yeah.
Yeah, he had
The
to
only
literally
damage was-
res them inside of the prim in order
Yeah.
for you to take damage. I was
There
watching
is-
top down.
I really expected pass-through issues with this, but there are none.
And that's with the faster missile.
Yeah. That's impressive.
Oh my god. Oh lord.
I think there's lag.
Yes, there was. Because none of these shots were going off.
Nash said it's possible we test fired over 1 million missiles.
Alright, Toxic, where are you? I need to kill you. There.
Destroying a
said we
base
should
that
have
somebody
kept the
left
counter.
here.
Shiba, I'm quickly gonna leech some ammo of your pot. Thank you. Thank you.
I will eventually hit you, Shay.
Shiba said you're welcome.
Oh. I'm being bullied by 2 midgets. Hey, Shay! Knock knock! Oh, you didn't follow up. Motherfucker.